Chapter 8 Side Streets, West Reno, Nevada. A loud roaring sound breaks the morning calm. A man with a leather jacket riding a powerful customized motorcycle stops at a stop sign. The roaring sound lessens. He feels a vibration in his pocket. He pulls out his cell phone. "Hello?" he answers. Three other roaring motorcycles pull up and stop slightly behind him. "Duke, we have something. We heard something on the police scanner. There was a roadblock on the Truckee River Road by the Doris Bridge. We hear some women were picked up. They might be associated with the Peterson incident. They're probably on the way to the city jail. We're the closest. We're going there now. Alert everybody," replies Duke. Duke hangs up. He looks back at the three riders behind him. He waves his finger in a circle above his head. He revs his powerful engine. He takes off in a burst of sound. Falling stop signs are just a suggestion for the riders. The roaring engines interrupt the morning calm all along their path. The riders don't give a shit. Chapter 9 Truckee River Road, West Reno, Nevada. While hiding on the side of the road, Brian has an intense urge to pee. "Come on," he thinks. "Not now." He lifts his head slightly, and he peers at the officers down the street. They are in a discussion, maybe about to stop, or the crimes to charge the women with. After a few minutes, the two officers from the black car return. The other car containing his friends pulls forward. As the officers walk to the car, they pass a few feet from Brian. They are oblivious to his presence as they enter their vehicle. They attempt to drive out of the way of their fellow officer. They feel the car's tires have gone flat. "Did you run over something?" asks the passenger. "No!" yells the driver. They both get out of the car. The passenger walks around the front of the car to the driver's side. The officer is so close to Brian, he could have grabbed his green pants as he walked by. Brian's urge to pee increases. The officer driving Kai and Maria rolls his window down. "Hey, move!" he yells. The two officers walk to the rear tire. "Come check this out!" yells one of the men as he pulls a flashlight off his belt. The officer exits his vehicle, leaves his door open, and he pulls out his flashlight. The officer is walking away from his car. Brian crawls to the passenger side door of the police car. He squeezes the key coin in his right hand, and he touches the door handle. The first time using a new coin always causes a weird feeling, and he feels as if he just jumped off a diving board into a pool. His knees go weak as the passenger door opens. He crawls into the passenger seat. He takes a breath as he settles into the seat. The two women in the back seat of the car see Brian enter. "Are you serious?" says Kai. "Shh," says Brian as he squeezes the fine coin in his left hand and disappears. Brian hears the officer start to discuss the flat tires. "Some punks must have slashed our tires." "You might have had a friend. Look around. Draw your firearms just in case." The officers draw their guns. Each officer's semi-auto handgun has an attached flashlight under the barrel, and they use their guns' lights to search both sides of the road. While hidden, Brian looks around the police car. He sees a laptop device attached to the center dash. He sees several wires exiting the laptop. One leads to a power source, and one leads to a wire on the roof of the car. He moves slowly and unplugs the camera. He next unplugs the laptop. "What are you doing?" whispers Kai. "I don't know," whispers Brian. They hear the officer returning. Brian reaches into his right pocket and swaps the key coin with the sword coin. The officer talks into his shoulder mic. "Dispatch, this is Unit 23. We need another tow truck on the Truckee River Road. The tires on one of our vehicles have been slashed." To the other officers, he blurts out, "Move that car aside. Driving the flat tires. They're trashed anyways. I need to get these two processed." He hops back into his patrol car. He slams his door closed, but the overhead light stays on. "What the?" he says as he opens his door again. Brian remembers. "Oh crap, my door." With his right hand, he uses two of his fingers to pull on the passenger door strap. His other three fingers squeeze the sword coin tightly. The officer slams his door, and the light winks out. He sees the black car has moved. He puts his vehicle into gear and starts to drive down the road. He waves at his fellow officers as he passes. He reaches to his belt and turns a knob on his radio. With one hand, he activates his radio and speaks into his shoulder microphone. "Rick, come in." The radio squawks back. "Here. I have two women in custody. One old woman and one young woman." "Old? Fuck you," says Maria. Ignoring Maria, the officer continues to speak into the microphone. "The young woman might be one of the people we're looking for. Do you want to ID her before I take her in?" The voice on the radio responds. "Yes. Meet me at the Western Self-Store by Millstone." "Will do. I'm 5 minutes out." Brian thinks, he works for Austin. I knew he recognized Kai. A large roaring sound and vibration causes Brian to look away from the officer and out of the car. He sees 4 large motorcycles fly by in the other lane. The roar fills everyone's ears as they pass by. "Lucky I'm busy," grumbles the officer as he watches them drive by. He drums his fingers on the steering wheel and shakes his head. Brian thinks, screw this guy. He releases the passenger side door with his right hand. He opens his left hand and appears in the passenger seat. He activates the sword coin in his right hand. He places the sword against the officer's chest. Don't you move, yells Brian. Ah! Yells the surprised officer. Try for a gun, and I'll kill you, yells Brian. Ah! I won't, yells the officer. How'd you get in here? Passenger side door starts to flap open in the wind. Brian improvises. I jumped in. Brian, the key coin. Oh yeah, says Brian to Maria. To the officer he says, don't try anything. You know about us. We're dangerous, and this sword is really fucking sharp. Brian reaches into his pocket and he swaps the fine coin with the key coin. Brian flicks the coin at Maria through the mesh separating the front compartment and the rear compartment. The coin falls into her lap. She's able to twist her body and slide the coin into her hand. After a few moments, Maria's and Kai's handcuffs are on the floor of the police car. Now what? Asks Kai. We make the son of a bitch take us somewhere safe, says Maria. Whatever you ladies say, but you won't get far, says the officer. Shut up, says Brian. Large roaring sound from behind the car starts to drown out their conversation. What the hell? Says the officer. Brian and the woman look out the back window. They see 4 loud motorcycles behind the police car. Each motorcyclist is wearing a black vest with various patches relating to the motorcycle gang. On top of their heads are small rounded black helmets. They have seriously crazed faces, and their large beards and mustaches are blowing widely in the wind. The lead motorcyclist has a large white beard. He pulls alongside Kai's door on the driver's side of the police car. He makes eye contact with Kai. Recognition flashes across his face. He takes his left hand off his handlebars, and he pulls out a handgun from his right arm shoulder holster. Gun! Yells Kai. Chapter 10, West Reno, Nevada. The officer swerves his car towards the biker. The white-bearded biker swerves into the oncoming lane and drops his gun to prevent himself from crashing. With 2 hands back on the handlebars, he's able to avoid a collision and disaster. During the swerve, Brian's sword arm is jarred by the sudden movement, and he accidentally slices the officer across the chest. Moans the officer. Whoa, sorry, I told you it's sharp. Brian feels as if he's losing control of the situation, so he improvises and channels his recently deceased friend Will. He screams, "Don't make me cut your tits off! Listen to me! Turn here!" The officer obeys Brian and makes a fast left-hand turn. The passengers of the police car hear popping gun sounds from behind. Get down, says Brian. Maria and Kai lay down on the car's floorboard. After the turn, Brian's unlocked door swings wide open and hits a parked car. With a loud wrenching sound, the car door is ripped off, and it falls into the street. The motorcyclist swerves around the door. The police car engine roars to life. Brian looks forward, and he sees a police car run a red light. The early morning traffic is starting, and they narrowly miss a few cars entering the intersection. Brian looks back. 2 of the bikers slow down, but the rear biker continues at his current speed, and he hits a small compact car. The biker flies over the hood of the compact car, and he spikes into the street at a 45-degree angle. The officer's radio squelches to life. Harrison, report! I hear gunfire. Is that you? Do you need assistance? Brian sees the fallen motorcyclist slide to a stop. He does not move further. One of the bikers stops to check on their fallen comrade. We need to get out of this car, yells Maria. The other 2 motorcyclists weave through the intersection, and their engines erupt with noise and a threat of violence. Brian looks at the officer. His face is ashen, and he's grimacing in pain. His uniform shirt is covered in blood. I really cut him deep, thinks Brian. Loud he says, this guy's gonna pass out. We'll make him pull over, says Maria. Brian looks forward and points with his sword. Pull into that parking garage. The officer nods and makes another sharp turn into the parking garage. The motorcyclists are caught unaware, and they miss the parking garage due to the sudden speed of the turn. A police car roars through the parking garage to a sloped ramp. They drive up the ramp to the second level. The bleeding officer drives wildly to the next ramp at the far end of the garage, and he almost hits a few parked cars. While turning onto the next level, the woozy officer turns too tightly, and he hits a support pillar. The car comes to a sudden halt. Brian flies forward and hits the dashboard against his right shoulder. Pain shoots up his arm. He points his sword at the officer. Maria, Kai, get out! Yells Brian. He feels a drop in his belly as a key coin is used. The passenger side door pops open. Maria and Kai step out. Brian looks at the officer. His head is bobbing on his chest. You better call for medical help, says Brian as he slices down with the sword. The officer's laptop flashes as it's destroyed. Brian hops out of the car. He runs after Maria and Kai. He sees them running towards the stairwell in the corner of the parking lot. The officer keys on his radio. Rick, I'm in the JW's parking garage. I have a positive ID on the 3 targets. Need immediate assistance. The officer hears a large, reverberating sound in the lower levels of the parking garage. The echoes from the approaching motorcycle increase. Car alarm motion sensors activate from the large vibrations. The alarm starts to blare loudly throughout the garage. The bloody officer steps out of his police car and draws his firearm. His eyes start to blur from blood loss. He's unsure which direction to look. The engine and car alarm sounds are so loud, he's becoming disoriented. His brain doesn't register the loud bang from the gun pointed at him. The biker's headshot hits him perfectly, and he falls like a marionette with its strings suddenly cut. The motorcycle drives up to the fallen officer. A large man with spiderweb and devil tattoos on his arms points his gun at the officer. Stay out of our way! This is our payday! He yells as he fires 2 more rounds into the officer's body.